On a quiet afternoon in July 2026, a dark vehicle passed through the private gates of Highgrove House. There were no crowds waiting outside. No television cameras. No royal procession. Inside the car were Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and their two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Waiting for them were King Charles and Queen Camilla. For the first time in 4 years, the king was about to see his California-based grandchildren in person. The reunion was supposed to be private. Buckingham Palace confirmed that it happened, but announced that no photographs would be released and no further details would be provided. It was simply a family meeting. A grandfather seeing his grandchildren. A father sitting down with his younger son. Yet almost immediately, that private afternoon became international news. Commentators examined the location. Newspapers questioned the timing. Television panels debated who arranged it, why it happened, and what it might mean for the future of the royal family. Some saw the meeting as an encouraging step toward reconciliation. Others viewed it with suspicion. And once again, Meghan Markle stood at the center of a worldwide conversation. That may be the most remarkable part of her story. She did not make a speech that afternoon. She did not appear at a public royal engagement. She did not stand on a palace balcony. She simply entered a private home with her husband and children. And the world watched. Why? Why does almost everything connected to Meghan become a debate? Why can a photograph, an interview, a dress, a business announcement, or a family visit produce thousands of headlines? Why do some people see courage when they look at her, while others see calculation? Why, years after she stepped away from royal duties, does the public remain so fascinated? To understand that, we must return to a time before the palaces, titles, royal disagreements, and global attention. Before she became the Duchess of Sussex, she was an ambitious young woman from Los Angeles trying to create a future of her own. Rachel Meghan Markle was born in Los Angeles, California, in 1981. Her childhood was far removed from the castles and ceremonies that would later define her public image. Her mother, Doria Ragland, worked in several professions, including social work. Her father, Thomas Markle, worked in television lighting. Because of his career, Meghan was introduced to television production at an early age. She occasionally visited sets and saw what happened behind the camera, the lights, rehearsals, scripts, and repeated takes required to create a finished scene. She also grew up understanding that the picture presented to an audience was not always the full reality behind it. That lesson would become increasingly important later in her life. As a child, Meghan showed an interest in speaking up. At 11 years old, she objected to the wording of a television advertisement that appeared to suggest housework belonged only to women. She wrote letters asking for the language to be changed. The company later altered the commercial. The story has been repeated many times because it fits the public identity Meghan would eventually build, a woman who believed that language mattered and that she had a right to challenge the way women were portrayed. She later attended Northwestern University, studying theater and international studies. After graduating, she began pursuing acting. Success did not arrive immediately. Like many performers, she faced small roles, rejected auditions, uncertain income, and long periods of waiting. She worked as a freelance calligrapher and accepted different television assignments while trying to establish herself. Her breakthrough eventually came through the legal drama Suits. Playing Rachel Zane gave Meghan the stability and recognition she had been seeking. The series developed an international audience, and she remained part of its cast for 7 seasons. But acting was only one part of the identity she was creating. She also founded a lifestyle website called The Tig, where she wrote about food, travel, fashion, personal development, and social issues. She worked with organizations focused on women's opportunities and humanitarian causes. By the middle of the 2010s, Meghan had built a respectable life. She was successful, independent, and known to television audiences. But she was not yet one of the most recognizable women in the world. That changed when she met Prince Harry. Meghan and Harry began their relationship in 2016. At first, they tried to keep it private. That privacy did not last. Once British newspapers learned that Prince Harry was dating an American actress, interest grew rapidly. Meghan was not the kind of woman many people had imagined Harry would marry. She was American. She was divorced. She had an established career. She was older than many of the women traditionally linked with young princes. She came from a mixed-race family. To some observers, this made her a symbol of a changing monarchy, an institution attempting to present itself as more modern, diverse, and connected to the wider world. To others, those same differences made her an outsider. The coverage soon became intense enough that Harry issued a public statement condemning the harassment directed at Meghan and her family. It was an early warning. Long before their wedding, the relationship had already become more than a romance between two individuals. People were using it to argue about race, class, national identity, celebrity culture, and the future of the monarchy. In November 2017, the couple announced their engagement. Their interview presented two people who appeared hopeful and deeply committed to building a life together. For many viewers, Meghan represented possibility. An American actress was going to marry into the British royal family. But the same story also created enormous expectations. She was expected to learn centuries of royal tradition. She was expected to understand a complicated relationship between the palace and the press. She was expected to serve the crown, satisfy the public, avoid political controversy, represent modern Britain, and make almost no visible mistakes. In May 2018, Meghan married Prince Harry at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. Millions watched around the world. The ceremony combined royal tradition with elements that reflected Meghan's American and Black heritage. Bishop Michael Curry delivered an energetic sermon. A gospel choir performed Stand By Me. For one afternoon, the wedding appeared to represent a bridge between different worlds. Hollywood and royalty. Britain and America. Tradition and change. But weddings end. The music stops. The guests leave. And the difficult work of living inside an ancient institution begins. As the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan began attending engagements, supporting charities, and representing the monarchy. One of her most celebrated early projects was a cookbook created with women connected to the Hub Community Kitchen following the Grenfell Tower fire. The project reflected qualities that her supporters admired: personal involvement, community building, and a desire to turn public attention into practical assistance. Yet outside those official appearances, another story was developing. Reports of tension began appearing in the press. Anonymous sources offered conflicting accounts of life behind palace walls. Articles examined Meghan's clothing, behavior, spending, family relationships, and supposed attitude toward royal protocol. One newspaper might present her as ambitious and energetic. Another might describe the same qualities as demanding. Supporters argued that Meghan was being judged by a standard that other royal women did not face in the same way. Critics responded that negative coverage followed her because of her behavior, not her background. Between those two positions was an enormous space filled with rumor, interpretation, anonymous briefings, and unanswered questions. That is where the Meghan Markle phenomenon truly began. Her story stopped being something people merely followed. It became something they used to support their existing beliefs. If someone believed the monarchy needed to modernize, Meghan could represent progress. If someone believed royal tradition was being weakened, she could become the symbol of that decline. If someone distrusted the British press, her experience appeared to prove that the media could destroy an individual. If someone distrusted celebrity culture, her public presence appeared to confirm that fame could be turned into influence and profit. The person and the symbol began separating from each other. Eventually, people were no longer responding only to Meghan herself. They were responding to what they believed she represented. In May 2019, Meghan and Harry welcomed their son, Archie. But the arrival of their first child did not reduce the pressure surrounding them. Instead, questions about privacy, access, public funding, titles, security, and the couple's relationship with the palace became even more intense. By the end of that year, it was becoming clear that the existing arrangement could not continue. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan announced that they intended to step back as senior working members of the royal family. They wanted a different role. They hoped to become financially independent while continuing to support the Queen. But royal duty was not structured like an ordinary job that could be reduced to part-time hours. Negotiations followed. The final arrangement required the couple to stop performing official royal duties. They eventually relocated to California, where they began building a new life with their growing family. For supporters, the departure represented survival. They believed Meghan and Harry had escaped an environment that had become damaging to their mental health and family life. For critics, it looked like rejection. The monarchy had given them status, global recognition, public resources, and an extraordinary platform. Their departure was therefore viewed by some as an abandonment of responsibility. This was the moment when public opinion hardened. Meghan was no longer merely a royal newcomer experiencing difficulties. She became one of the central figures in a struggle over loyalty, freedom, privilege, and personal responsibility. Even the popular name given to their departure, Megxit, placed much of the decision on Meghan, despite Harry repeatedly describing his own role in it. The implication was powerful. The prince had not simply chosen a new direction. He had been taken away. That interpretation continues to shape how many people view the couple today. It also created a story with no simple ending. Harry and Meghan had left royal duty, but they had not left public attention. In some ways, the attention became even greater. In March 2021, Harry and Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey. The interview was watched across the world. They described isolation, family tension, mental health struggles, financial pressure, and concerns over how dark their unborn child's skin might be. Buckingham Palace responded that the issues raised were concerning, while adding that recollections could vary. That short phrase captured the central problem surrounding the Sussex story. There were now competing versions of the same experience. There was the account presented by Harry and Meghan. There was the position of the palace. There were interpretations offered by journalists, authors, former staff members, friends, critics, and anonymous insiders. Each new disclosure produced another response. Each response created further coverage. And every attempt to explain the past seemed to generate another disagreement about what had truly happened. Harry and Meghan later released a Netflix documentary series about their relationship and departure from royal life. Meghan produced the podcast Archetypes, which explored labels applied to women. Harry published his memoir, Spare, revealing private details about his childhood, his military service, his grief over the death of Princess Diana, and his relationships with his father and brother. The couple said they were telling their own story after years of having others tell it for them. Their critics saw something different. They argued that two people who had requested privacy were continuing to profit from revealing private royal experiences. But privacy and silence are not necessarily the same thing. A person can want control over which parts of life become public without disappearing completely. Still, that distinction did not resolve the argument. It intensified it. Supporters saw two people reclaiming their voices. Critics saw a contradiction. And the public kept watching. Life in California offered Meghan something royal life could not easily provide, the ability to shape her own public identity. Through Archewell, she and Harry developed charitable and media projects. Meghan launched new podcasts, invested in businesses, and returned to the lifestyle space she had explored years earlier with the TIG. Her Netflix series, With Love, Meghan, presented cooking, gardening, friendship, and hospitality. Her lifestyle brand, as ever, extended that image into products and business. Once again, reaction was divided. Some viewers appreciated the softer and more personal direction. They saw a woman returning to interests she had before joining the royal family. Others found the presentation overly polished or disconnected from the public struggles described during earlier interviews. Yet even criticism demonstrated the strength of her cultural presence. A cooking program became a discussion about authenticity. A jar of preserves became a symbol of branding. A social media post could generate articles across several countries. A simple outfit could be examined for hidden meaning. Very few public figures exist in that environment. Meghan's business projects are not judged only as products. They are interpreted as evidence. If a venture succeeds, supporters describe resilience. If it struggles, critics call it proof that the royal connection was her greatest asset. Almost nothing is allowed to remain ordinary. And that is one of the clearest explanations for why the world continues to watch. The public is not following only a person. It is waiting for a verdict. By 2026, the consequences of the royal separation remained visible. Harry's relationship with his brother, Prince William, was still widely reported as strained. His relationship with King Charles appeared less certain, a mixture of distance, concern, disagreement, and occasional signs that reconciliation might still be possible. Security remained a serious point of conflict. Harry had argued that bringing his family to Britain without suitable protection presented unacceptable risks. The issue became connected to legal proceedings, government decisions, and his broader relationship with the palace. Then came the Highgrove meeting. On July 10, King Charles and Queen Camilla hosted Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet at the King's private country residence. The meeting reunited Charles with his grandchildren for the first time since 2022. No official photographs were released. The palace offered almost no details. That absence of information should have created privacy. Instead, it created a space that commentators quickly filled. Some described the reunion as an olive branch. Others questioned whether it could lead to further reconciliation. Royal critics examined Meghan's participation. Supporters focused on the children finally spending time with their grandfather. Some commentators made accusations about strategy, publicity, or hidden motives. But without testimony from the people inside the room, those theories remain interpretations, not established facts. The confirmed reality is much simpler. A divided family spent time together. An aging father saw his younger son. A grandfather reunited with two children he had not seen in 4 years. Whether it represented forgiveness, a temporary pause, or the beginning of something more lasting remains unknown. Perhaps that uncertainty explains why the meeting attracted so much attention. People were not merely interested in what happened at Highgrove. They wanted the gathering to prove something. Some wanted proof that Meghan and Harry regretted leaving. Others wanted evidence that the monarchy had finally recognized the pain the couple described. Some hoped for reconciliation. Others expected another disappointment. The world looked at one private afternoon and saw a reflection of its own opinion. Many public figures receive praise and criticism. Meghan produces something more intense. She inspires identification. For some women, particularly women who have felt like outsiders, her story is about entering a powerful environment and discovering that acceptance has conditions. For some members of multiracial families, her experiences raised familiar questions about identity, belonging, and the way race can be discussed indirectly. For people who value tradition, her departure appeared to challenge the idea that duty should be placed above individual preference. For people who value personal freedom, that same decision looked brave. Her story also sits at the meeting point of two powerful systems. The British monarchy represents history, inherited duty, hierarchy, ceremony, and continuity. American celebrity culture rewards independence, self-promotion, reinvention, and control of one's personal brand. Meghan has belonged to both worlds without fitting comfortably inside either one. She was an actress who became royal. Then she was a royal who returned to entertainment and business. She wanted to speak openly inside an institution that survives partly through restraint. She sought control of her image while living under a level of public examination that made such control nearly impossible. This contradiction is not unique to Meghan. But in her case, it plays out on a global stage. There is another reason the fascination continues. The story remains unresolved. There has been no complete reconciliation. There has been no permanent disappearance from public life. There has been no final agreement about who was responsible for the royal conflict. Each side still has supporters. Each interview, business announcement, family meeting, or palace decision feels like another chapter rather than a conclusion. And unfinished stories are difficult to ignore. The fairest way to understand Meghan Markle may be to separate the woman from the symbol created around her. The woman is a mother, wife, entrepreneur, former actress, and public advocate whose private motivations are known completely only to her. The symbol is something built by everyone else. The press helped build it. The palace helped build it. Supporters, critics, commentators, social media accounts, documentary producers, and viewers all contributed. One side created an image of a courageous woman who protected her family from an unwelcoming institution. Another created the portrait of an ambitious outsider who entered royal life, rejected its responsibilities, and continued using its status. Neither image can fully contain a real human being. People are rarely as perfect as their supporters believe. They are also rarely as calculating as their harshest critics insist. The truth is usually more complicated. Meghan may have made mistakes. The palace may have made mistakes. Harry may have underestimated the consequences of publicly revealing family disputes. The press may have transformed complicated disagreements into a permanent commercial spectacle. Several of those things can be true at the same time. Balance does not require pretending every claim is equally supported. It requires recognizing what has been confirmed, what remains disputed, and what may never be known. Years ago, Meghan Markle entered St. George's Chapel as millions watched. She appeared to represent a new chapter for the monarchy. Today, the meaning of that chapter remains fiercely contested. Was she an agent of necessary change? A woman overwhelmed by an institution she never fully understood? A skilled communicator who learned how to turn attention into independence? Or simply a human being whose marriage placed every strength, weakness, decision, and mistake under an unforgiving global microscope? Perhaps the reason the world cannot stop watching is that Meghan's story is no longer only about Meghan. It is about tradition facing change. It is about race and belonging. It is about family loyalty and personal freedom. It is about the difference between privacy and silence. It is about who controls a public story when every side believes its version is the truth. Behind the gates of Highgrove, one family shared a private afternoon. Outside those gates, millions of people transformed it into something larger. A peace offering. A calculated move. A sign of hope. A warning. The meeting may have been all of those things. It may have been none of them. For now, the doors remain closed, the photographs remain private, and the complete truth belongs to the people who were inside the room. But the questions continue. And as long as those questions remain unanswered, the world will continue watching Meghan Markle. Every mystery leaves questions. Every story leaves clues. Welcome to StoryForge.